She left me at the altar. 5 years later, she knocked on my door holding a little girl. I never imagined the happiest day of my life would become the one memory I spent years trying to forget. 3 years ago, I stood behind the wedding venue, adjusting my tie while trying to calm my nerves. Outside, nearly 100 guests were waiting. My parents were smiling. My friends were joking around. In just a few minutes, I was supposed to marry the love of my life, Emily. We had been together for 6 years. We met in college after she accidentally spilled coffee on my laptop. Instead of walking away, she stayed for hours helping me recover my files. That awkward moment became our first date, and from then on, we built our future together. We found our first apartment, dreamed about traveling, and even argued over what to name our future dog. Nothing ever made me think she would leave. About 20 minutes before the ceremony, my best man walked into the room with a worried look. "Have you talked to Emily?" he asked. I smiled. "She's probably nervous." He shook his head. "No one can find her." At first, I wasn't worried. Maybe she needed a few minutes alone. Weddings can be overwhelming. But then her maid of honor came running down the hallway in tears. The bridal suite was empty. Her phone was still on the table. Her wedding dress was gone. There wasn't a single note. The next hour felt unreal. Our families searched every room. Friends checked the parking lot. Someone called nearby hospitals, while another person contacted the police. It was as if Emily had disappeared into thin air. Soon, the guests realized something was terribly wrong. The music kept playing, but one by one, everyone quietly left. I stood there watching the empty chairs, unable to believe my wedding had turned into a nightmare. The police questioned everyone and searched for weeks, but they found nothing. Her parents were just as confused as I was. There had been no arguments, no warning signs, and no explanation. For months, I barely slept. Every unknown phone number made my heart race. Every knock on the door made me hope she had finally come back. Friends told me to move on. Eventually, I did. Or at least I pretended to. 3 years later, I had a new apartment, a new job, and a life that finally felt normal. Then, at exactly 11:43 on a rainy Thursday night, someone knocked on my front door. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I opened it, my heart stopped. Standing there, soaked from the rain with tears streaming down her face, was Emily. Her first words made my blood run cold. "I never wanted to leave you, but if I had stayed, someone would have died." For several seconds, I couldn't speak. The woman I had spent 3 years trying to forget was standing in my apartment, soaked from the rain and trembling. The only word I managed to say was, "Why?" Emily lowered her head. "Please, let me come inside. If someone sees me here, everything will start again." Every part of me wanted to slam the door. Instead, I stepped aside. She quietly walked in, looking around at the apartment as if she couldn't believe how much my life had changed. I placed a mug of coffee in front of her, but she never touched it. "I know you hate me," she whispered. "Hate you?" I laughed bitterly. "You disappeared on our wedding day. The police searched for you. Your parents thought you were dead. I spent months wondering if someone had kidnapped you." Tears rolled down her face. "I know. No, you don't. You destroyed my life." She didn't argue. She simply nodded. "I did." Then she reached into her bag and placed a thick envelope on the table. "I've carried this for 3 years. Inside were dozens of letters. Every one of them had my name written on the front. I wrote one every month," she said quietly. "I never mailed them." I opened the first letter. It was dated the day after our wedding. The first sentence made my stomach tighten. "If you're reading this, it means I failed to keep my promise. I looked at her. What promise? The promise that I would never let them hurt you. Them. Emily took a deep breath. 3 weeks before our wedding, I stayed late at work. I found financial records that didn't make sense. What kind of records? Millions of dollars were being moved through fake companies. She pulled a small USB drive from the envelope. I copied everything. You went to the police. I tried. What happened? Her face turned pale. The detective looked at the files for less than a minute. Then he told me to burn every copy, forget everything, and never come back. A chill ran through my body. Why? Because he already knew. Before I could respond, Emily continued. 2 hours later, someone broke into our apartment. I froze. They weren't looking for money. They were looking for the evidence. And when they couldn't find it. She swallowed hard before finishing the sentence. They left me a message. I leaned closer. What message? Emily slowly unfolded a small piece of paper she had kept hidden for 3 years. Across the center, written in black marker, were 8 terrifying words. Disappear before the wedding, or he dies first. I couldn't breathe. Every part of me wanted to believe Emily was lying. The story sounded impossible. But the fear in her eyes was real. What message? I asked. She unfolded a worn piece of paper and slid it across the table. Only 8 words were written on it. Disappear before the wedding, or he dies first. He. I whispered. You, Emily replied. The room fell silent. They knew everything, she said. Where we lived, where you worked, even where your parents lived. I felt a chill run through my body. I thought they were bluffing, she continued. The next morning I found a photo of you leaving work. Someone had taken it only hours before. They were watching me. They were watching all of us. Emily explained that she wanted to tell me the truth before the wedding, but every time she tried, they reminded her they were listening. She showed me another photo. It was my parents' house. A black SUV was parked across the street. On the back, someone had written. We never miss our target. So you left. I whispered. To keep you alive. She told me she left before sunrise with only a backpack, some cash, and the USB drive hidden inside a flashlight. She changed her name, moved from state to state, and never stayed anywhere for long. Every strange car made her panic. Every unknown phone number made her think they had found her. I stopped having friends, she said quietly. I stopped celebrating birthdays. I stopped existing. For 3 years, she lived like a ghost. I finally believed it was over, she said. What changed? She reached into her bag and handed me another envelope. Inside was a recent photograph. It showed me leaving my office only 3 days earlier. Across the bottom were 5 words. We know where he is. My heart pounded. They found you again. She nodded. I came here because running isn't enough anymore. I looked at the USB drive. So what do we do? We finish what I should have done 3 years ago. Before I could answer, 3 loud knocks echoed through the apartment. Then a man's voice came from outside. Open the door. We know she's inside. Emily's face turned pale. They're here. I slowly stepped toward the peephole. 2 men stood outside in dark jackets, waiting without saying another word. Then my phone vibrated. Unknown number. I answered. A calm voice said, "Don't make this harder than it has to be." The call ended. At that exact moment, someone tried the door handle. The room fell silent. Emily's face turned pale. She didn't have to say a word, I already knew who was outside. 3 more slow knocks echoed through the apartment. Open the door, a man called. There are only two ways this ends. My heart was pounding. I switched off the living room lights and carefully looked through the peephole. Two men stood outside wearing dark jackets and baseball caps. They know we're here, I whispered. They always know, Emily replied. My phone suddenly vibrated. Unknown number. I answered. You've already made one mistake by letting her inside, a calm voice said. If you want your parents to stay alive, hand her over. The line went dead. I immediately called my father. No answer. Again. Voicemail. Emily looked at me. They're trying to scare you. What if they aren't? She stayed silent. Instead, she picked up the USB drive. They're not after me anymore. They're after this. I plugged it into my laptop. The screen filled with folders containing bank records, videos, emails, fake identities, and lists of names. Business owners. Police officers. Judges. Politicians. It wasn't just one criminal group. It was a massive network. They've been laundering money for years, Emily said. Anyone who tried exposing them disappeared. Another loud bang shook the apartment. This time it came from the window. The glass began to crack. They're coming in, Emily whispered. What do we do? She looked at me. I made backups. I stared at her. 3 copies. One of them was sent to my college roommate, Sarah. The journalist? Emily nodded. She has everything. A second crash echoed through the room. The window was seconds away from breaking. If they destroy this USB, I said, the evidence still survives. Emily nodded. For the first time that night, she smiled. I grabbed my phone. What are you doing? She asked. If they're willing to threaten us in private. I opened a live stream. Then let the whole world watch. At that exact moment, the window exploded inward. A masked man climbed into the apartment. He looked at us for several seconds. Then. He slowly removed his mask. Emily gasped. No. Tears filled her eyes. It can't be you. The man lowered his head. I'm sorry. I looked at Emily. You know him? She could barely speak. That's my brother. The room went completely silent. Emily stared at the man in shock. No, she whispered. It can't be you. The man slowly lowered his head. I'm sorry. I looked at Emily. You know him? Tears filled her eyes. That's my brother. Daniel. I couldn't believe it. I thought you said he died years ago. That's what I was told. Daniel stepped forward and raised his empty hands. I let everyone believe that. Why? Because it was the only way to get close to them. He reached into his jacket and placed a federal badge on the table. I've been undercover for 4 years. Emily froze. You've been working for them? I've been working against them. Before anyone could say another word, flashing blue and red lights filled the apartment. Voices shouted from outside. Federal agents. Don't move. The men outside tried to escape, but within seconds they were arrested. Daniel looked at us. It's over. Emily collapsed into a chair, crying with relief. For the first time in 3 years. She didn't have to run. Over the following weeks, the evidence on the USB drives exposed one of the largest money laundering operations in the state. Dozens of criminals were arrested. Corrupt officials lost their jobs. Investigations spread across the country. Sarah, Emily's former roommate and investigative journalist, published the full story, making sure the truth could never be hidden again. People called Emily a hero. She never accepted that title. I only did what I had to do, she always said. As for me, forgiveness didn't happen overnight. 3 years of pain couldn't disappear in a single conversation. But little by little, I understood the impossible choice she had made. She hadn't left because she stopped loving me. She left because she believed it was the only way to keep me alive. 1 year later, we returned to the same park where we had our first date. Our families stood beside us. There was no luxury venue. No huge crowd. Just the people who mattered most. I looked into Emily's eyes. So. She smiled through happy tears. Are you asking me again? I pulled the same ring from my pocket. I never stopped. This time. She didn't disappear. She smiled and whispered. Yes. Sometimes love isn't about never losing each other. Sometimes it's about finding your way back after everything has fallen apart. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps us bring more unforgettable stories to life.